Hello everyone, my name is Deepak and I'm a tax code advisor. Today I'm going to share some important points about perhaps why you don't want to start an home-based childcare business. I think knowing what to do and what not to do, both aspects are so important if you want to be successful in this business. Over and over again, I have seen people failing because of different reasons. For example, some people fail because they just don't put in the hard work, as simple as that. Some people fail because they are very good at managing their finances. They simply spend too much on their business. Some people have a really hard time saying no. They can't say no to anything. So they cannot fire an employee, they cannot negotiate a lease, they cannot increase their prices for their services. So I see some people failing because of that. Some people are just not emotionally strong to do their business. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say if you're very successful at whatever job you do, maybe you're in IT, maybe you're in some other business, but let's just say you are the top performing employee in that company. Just because you're best in your company doesn't make you best as a business owner. Now you might be wondering, why is that? Well, the I guess simple analogy would be let's imagine there is a best lion or a tiger in a circus, and circus people feed them well, take care of them, they massage them, they make sure that they're all good, and then they go perform for the audience, and audience goes, "Oh my God, this is the best circus ever!" And they keep coming back, and you go on their website, and everybody's raving about these animals' performance, and they go like, "Oh my God, this is the best place ever." And this can go on for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and they like business will make money. But if you take the same animal and you send them back to a jungle, do you think they can survive even for 30 days or 60 days or 6 months or a year? Same problem. So a lot of time, people who are used to their W-2 jobs and then they want to start their own business, this analogy keeps coming to my mind. So when people come to me for consultation, I don't just talk about finances or tax or setting up the business properly or coming up with strategies to help them build enormous amount of wealth along the way, but I also need to talk about, will this person even survive as a business owner? It is my duty to tell them, if I see a sign that they're not a good fit, that hey, just hold on, wait a minute, don't do this because you're not ready for this. Here are some of the potential problems that you might run into. Now, how many times does that happen to you when you go for a tax consultation? I know you're probably going like, never. Yes, because most tax professionals, they're tax professionals, but they're not business professionals. Or if they own businesses, they're passive businesses. They're investing in other people's businesses. I have run all my businesses. I'm still actively involved in multiple businesses. I act as a consultant to multiple businesses, not just for tax, but as a business consultant. So that kind of gives me this unique background where I can guide you, coach you on things that you might otherwise miss. So today I'm going to share some stories from some of my clients, some things that I have seen. So if you're thinking about starting a childcare business or some other type of business, I think this is relevant to all everyone. But since for last week or so, I've been focusing on this childcare business, so perhaps I'll label it as that. But the idea is relevant for anything. Whether you're doing hotel, motel, or you're building something else, doesn't really matter. So let's get started. So if you want to learn how to do a proper business, you only have two options. One option is you do the business and you learn from your own mistakes. Another option is you run the business, but you learn from other people's mistake. And that's what I do whole day long, talking to people, talking to customers, and talking to their customers and trying to figure out why they're failing. So I'm going to share a story today. This lady, she recently shut down her business, and I asked her some questions. Why did she decided not to continue? Why did she decided to do something else? So I'm going to share some of the things that I learned from her. But before we continue, let me give you some background on her so you can better understand the situation. So husband is a director in an IT company, doing very well. The husband is earning almost $350,000 a year. Plus, they have all sort of other benefits, very good health insurance. They have like stock benefits where they can buy stocks at like 15% discount. And on top of that, company rewards the stocks as well. So if you add all those benefits up, maybe they're getting compensated roughly $500,000 a year. So very stable job. On the other hand, the spouse, the wife, she is not working. She's a stay-at-home mom, but she has done some odd jobs. Sometimes she tried consulting, sometimes she tried tutoring, things like that. And she was, she made some money here and there. And then they had babies, and the first one grew up, 5-year old. They had a second baby, and mom thought that, now that we have two babies and we are already sending them to childcare, why not I set up a childcare? And honestly speaking, that is a wonderful idea. If you have kids of that age and you want to decide childcare, I think financially it makes sense, especially if you're doing it at home. You're not really setting it up outside and renting some facility and all that. So at home, it does make sense. But in spite of that, in spite of her husband making really good amount of money, and in spite of the fact that she had some at least business background because she didn't really have a W-2 job, she was working for somebody else. But together, they thought they can make it a good business. Why? Because the husband is a director at a multinational company, and the company is paying the guy almost $500,000. So he goes like, well, running a small childcare is piece of cake. All you got to do is take care of the kids, and I'll teach you how to do business, and that would be it. So I'm going to share their story, and you'll have some fun with it. That just because somebody is a director or VP at a large company, how hard time they can have running a small childcare center, because it's just not the same gig. It's like we're talking about two different things altogether. So I asked the customer, I'm like, well, tell me a little bit more about your husband's background. Why was he so confident that he can really help you out with this business? And she says, well, before he joined this company, he had run his own consulting company. And during that time, he was helping clients set up websites, run Google ads, run Facebook ads, you know, built their website from scratch, helped them with blogging, helped them with YouTube. So he had a good experience helping clients do marketing. So I thought, if he can market so many other clients, he should be able to help me out as well. And that's why he was very convinced. And then on top of that, he worked for a large company. So there were so many people in our community who were sending kids to childcare centers. So you go like, look, we already know so many people. So if I just let them know that we have our own childcare center, I'm pretty sure we can attract most of these people and come and send their child to our childcare center. So, considering those two things combined, I thought that's a killer combination. So that explained why her husband was super interested in this model. Then my next question to this lady was, well, why did you wanted to do this model? What was your why? Like, why did you think this was going to be good for you? And her answer was, I was already taking care of two kids. So, taking care of my kids, why can't I take care of other people's kids? I thought that'd be really good. But more importantly, I wanted to stay busy. I wanted to do something, and I thought this can turn into a very good business. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. She shut down her business after a few years, but at least that's what she thought in her head, that she will be able to achieve that, because if she can take care of her own kids, why can't she take care of the other people's kids? Okay, so that tells me why they wanted to do this business. So maybe many of you guys can relate to this story. I mean, I think this might be relevant to many people. Now, please, if you just only watch this video, don't be discouraged. obviously they failed because they made few classic mistakes. And actually many people make fail because they make these classic mistakes. They don't seek out advice, just in time. For example, if you don't know how to play basketball, all you got to do is find a good coach who plays very good basketball and learn from them, and that's it. It doesn't matter. Let's say for example, in this case, she says, well, my husband knew all that. Well, even if you didn't know all that, I'm sure you can hire a coach for a couple $100 online who can teach you all that. I mean, running a Facebook ad, social media, YouTube, it's not that crazy, at least not for a small business. It's not like you have to have a professional photographer do all that. It's just simple things, and we talk about all that in our comprehensive planning, and we give you exactly the blueprint how to do it yourself. But main point is it's not that complicated. But if you don't have a blueprint and you're starting from scratch, then what happens is you end up making a lot of mistakes and you're wasting a lot of time. And you waste so much time, then you don't see the results and you get frustrated and you end up shutting down. So I just want to bring that up that, obviously this is a negative story. I'm telling you all the things not to do, but don't be discouraged because of that. Idea here is to learn from it and avoid some of the mistakes. All right. So now you understand their why. Why did they wanted to do it? Now let's talk about why did they fail. So number one reason she says was that every day somebody will approach me and they will tell me how I can change things. Sometime it will be because they belong to a different part of the world. Sometime it would be because they specialize in childcare, like they thought they understand the psychology of child better. Sometime it was they just felt the experience was not good enough, so they needed to change some things around. So all kind of people would approach every day and tell her why she's not doing a good job. Now, in any business, there are going to be some customer who just not going to be happy with us. Nowhere, because they don't care how much of a hard work we have put into it, or they might get attracted to a cheaper price and think that we are overpriced or something like that. That always happens. But when you have a very small business, when you're taking care of, let's say, 5 kids or 10 kids, and so that means on a regular basis you're only talking to those 10 parents, and if let's say if you receive one or two feedback per week, it creates this self-doubt in your mind. And this was happening to her all the time. Like every week, somebody will give her a feedback, and now she will start thinking about it. And now she's talking to her husband, telling him, how we should change things. And first couple of months, husband cooperated. He says, okay, we can maybe we can paint it differently. Maybe we can move some toys around this way. Maybe we can change our check-in process. So he played around. But by the third month, he's like, you're changing it all the time. And if you want to do it yourself. I don't want to be involved with it. And I don't blame him because he's a director at an IT company. He's a busy man. He probably thought that, he's going to set up the business one time and that's it. Then he's going to forget about it. But that's where things go wrong. It doesn't work out that way. Business is always evolving. You start at one phase and then it takes a different phase, and then third phase is like always changing. So when a spouse tell you that they're going to be there, you need to find out what do they really mean by that. So if you can figure out, is it 5 hours a day, is it 10 hours a day, or 20 hours a week, or 40 hours a month, what does that look like? What does that help look like? Is it a one-time help or is it a regular help? I think this is one big mistake this couple did, because one spouse thought that they can get unlimited help from the other spouse, but that is just not the case because they are involved in full-time job, and I'm pretty sure that job must have been high pressure that required a lot of attention, and he could not be distracted for that long. So after 3 months, he was like, man, this is just too much for me. I don't want to be involved with that. Like I said, I don't blame him, but if you're doing this and you're watching this right now, you're thinking about setting up a business, and your spouse is saying, I'm willing to help you need to get a little piece of paper out and say, hey, can you please write down what does that help really look like? What do you really mean by that? And how long is that help going to last? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, as long as the business runs? I mean, you're a partner in that business. Many times, even from a tax perspective, clients come in and they would have a husband and wife both on, either partnership or S corp, and you know, and I'll be like, but why do you have both people when there's only one person working in the business? First of all, if you want to add somebody to your business, even your partner, then there needs to be a specific reason why you want to do it. But most of the time, that reason is missing. So, A, they're taking on extra liability, and B, it's totally unnecessary. And that's exactly what happened in this case. They had both people on the partnership, they're running the business together, but only one person is responsible, other had nothing to do with it. He was only in a supporting role in during the setup. And after that, nothing else. So that was one problem. And the second problem was, like I said, the spouse who was running the business, because she did not have enough support from the other partner. First of all, I think people get confused with husband and wife and partnerships. Partnerships are different than your relationships. You need to treat them completely separately. You're not going to treat your partner the way you treat your family. It's a different relationship. So if you can kind of at least start using that word, I think that will go a long way. If you ask them, hey, are you my partner in this business or not? Maybe they will say, no, I don't want a partner. I'll just help you. In that case, you know the answer. So what happened was the customers will come, give her the feedback. They'll tell her why something is wrong with this business. And she will take it to her partner. But the partner says, well, wait a minute. I'm not your partner. I was only there to help. So don't share all these problems with me. And after 3 months, the support stopped from that point of view. So don't take these advice that you get from your customers very seriously. Now, I'm not saying that you don't address their concerns. In matter of fact, when customers tell you that they have this problem, what do you say? You say, I understand. I understand. I'll make a note of it. But do you really need to act on it? Maybe not. You know, if somebody comes back a month later, 2 months later, and they say, hey, I told you to change the color of that wall. You haven't done it yet. He says, yeah, it's on my notes. We are definitely considering it, maybe during next upgrade. Oh, you need to change the toy. Yeah, it's on my note. We're considering it probably during next upgrade. I mean, how long is this customer going to stay with you anyways? Maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, and then they'll be gone. So don't take that advice way too seriously, especially if it involves you making significant changes to your business. More than likely, you'll end up wasting a lot of money. So be very careful with that. Another problem she faced was that people come to her place and she was very jolly. She was very helpful lady, and she will share all the information with the parents. How many kids at your play center? She's like, oh, I got 10 kids. Like, oh wow, so you charge, $1,000 a month. That you're making $10,000 a month from your home? Yeah, absolutely. It's great, you know. So she'll share all the information with the parents. And parents will say something like, oh, you know what? Maybe I will open one up. And she'll be like, well, if you open it up, she won't say it, but it's cooking in her head. She's thinking, well, if you open this business up, this can hurt me because obviously you're going to take the kid out. That's a loss of revenue for me, and then you're going to steal my other kids, and you're going to put them in your place. That's going to be loss of revenue for me. Now remember, all this has not happened. Opening a business is not as easy as people think, no matter what you say. I can tell you probably 50 businesses to do. You can come for consultation. You tell me what your background is, what do you do, and I'll tell you what kind of businesses might be good for you. But chances are that you doing those businesses just because I tell you that those businesses are good is probably slim to none. I don't think you're going to do it. So when people tell you that they like this business and they want to go do it on their own, don't trust that. More than likely, that's not going to happen. But this lady was so kind, so honest, so nice that she started talking about this with her husband. She'll go back and she'll like, well, you know, Susan came in today and she wants to open up. She's not that far. She only lives like 5 minutes away from us. She wants to do it. Now we're in the same community. What's going to happen to all the kids? She's probably going to take them. Sometimes people will come in from a different ethnic background. I think she said there was one Filipino customer who came in and they said, "Oh, you know what? I like it. It's pretty good. Thank you for showing this to me. I'm gonna open up for Filipinos and stuff like that." So she will hear these throughout the day, and she'll take it way too seriously. So when you get this kind of idea from your customers that they want to do business, please, it's not that easy. Like I'll tell you, because you are lucky that you're understanding all this information right now, but a lot of people don't. They just go open this stuff up, and then somebody else will go to them and tell them all this, and they will take it seriously and throw in the towel way too soon before they're making any money out of it. So that's my 2 cents on that. Another thing that she mentioned that bothered her. So see, you see, all of these problems are really not technical problems. These are the problems that I think most of them are emotional problems, really. These. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this business, to be successful in business, you have to be really good at finances. You got to be good at managing. You got to be good at finding good talent and all kind of other skills that you need to run a business. But you also need to be emotionally strong. You cannot be bothered by this outside baggage. We all have our own sets of problems. I'm sure you probably have some debt, maybe you have some credit cards, maybe you have some mortgages, maybe you have a car payments that you need to worry about. And I'm talking to all of you guys who have a home-based childcare business or some sort of other home care business. So at least you don't have as much of a liability from a rent point of view. But some people even have that, and I can understand how much pressure that might have on you. Then you might have responsibilities. Maybe you're taking care of your parents, maybe you're taking care of your kids, maybe you're going through a difficult marriage. So there's like all kind of pressure we all have. And then on top of that, if you add all this pressure that we get from customers, and customers don't even realize that. They don't realize that the person on the other side is also a human being. They have similar problems like we do. They have no clue. They think you are a perfect business. They think you're making more money than anybody else. They think that you're overcharging them. They think that you have, uh, you know, everything is good in your life. You don't have any problems. That is far from truth. So they don't know who you are really. They are your customers. They're not your friends. And don't try to make them your friends, by the way. Keep customers as customers. If you share too much information, that can come back to bite you. So, you know, don't worry about it too much. What she said to me was, Deepak, another problem I run into is that these people would constantly tell me why somebody else is better than me. They will say, hey, have you checked out that childcare center? They clean the property 20 times a day. I saw their bathroom. Their bathroom, they put actually marbles in their bathroom. Or have you seen their front yard? It's like gorgeous. They spend like $200,000 on front yard. They're always telling you things that somebody else is doing. Again, just like they're not going to start the business, just like all the other stuff. I mean, if they love that place so much, why is that kid at your place? You are offering them something special. You're offering them something that they can't get elsewhere. Whether it's your personality, whether it's convenience, whether it's your flexibility, you're offering them something that they cannot get anywhere else. But they would not tell you that. They will only tell you why somebody's better, what kind of problems you have. That's all they're focusing on. Once again, you need to learn how not to hear it. The only thing you've got to learn to your customers, oh, really, can you get me some pictures? How can I get better? Ask them, let them share information with you. Tell them what's going on. It's a mindset problem, not really a business problem. And don't try to copy, don't try to become like that. People say all kind of crazy things. So don't try to say, oh, they're doing it this way, so I'm going to do this way. It's okay to learn. It's okay to be inspired by somebody, but be aware of your finances, be aware of what your business model is. And if you haven't watched the video, I put together a one-page business plan. Take a look at that. Very simple. Stick with your business plan, stick with your game plan. Don't try to change your game plan because of somebody else. Now, can you tweak your game plan? Yes. For example, if you have too much competition, maybe you play around with pricing. If you have language issue going on, maybe you hire somebody who speaks languages of your customers. You can do tweaks like that, but don't go spend 100, $200,000 on a business just because somebody telling you that somebody else is doing that. That's just ridiculous. So if you've been listening to me or you come to my seminars or webinars, you might have heard me talk about two biggest problems that I see with people in general, whether they are a business owner or their individual clients. Those two problems are people act either based on greed or they act on based on fear. You shouldn't be doing that either way, right? Those two is what's going to kill you. So when people tell you something, I want you to categorize those thoughts into these two categories. Put the sheet and see what they're saying. Can that be put into those two categories? If yes, I would probably not even act on it. If it's anything other than those two categories, then I'll act on it. So let's say if somebody says to me, well, if you are not going to change this, I'm just going to take the kid away. I'm going to move my business. I probably would not act on that advice. So if you come to me and you said, Deepak, unless you change your price, I'm not going to do business with you. I'm not going to change my price. I would not act on that feedback, right? It's because that's just not, doesn't make any sense. There got to be another reason. That's not the reason. So if somebody gives me anything to do with fear, I don't want to deal with that. If and other part is some people, and this happens actually a lot more than fear. I don't think people try to scare me too much with all those kind of tactics. More what happens is, hey Deepak, I have this project that can make you 50% ROI every year, or something like that. They will try to get me attracted by using some number that is just too crazy. That's another one that I get a lot. So those two, I think in your case, most people will try to do it from a fear point of view. So if that happens, just stay away from it. It's not in your favor. So as she's talking about this whole story and telling me, everything that's has gone wrong, I ask her, how do you deal with all this stress that you're getting from people? What kind of sports do you play? What kind of exercise do you do? Do you play some music or go hang out with friends and all that? How does that look like? And by the way, this is kind of giving you a good idea as to what happens in my business consulting calls. So all my business clients, if they are enrolled on our advisory package, then we go through all this. We talk about this at least once a year, sometime even twice a year, in addition to gazillion of other things that comes as part of that as well. So I ask her, what are you doing with your health? Like, how are you managing this stress? And she was like, well, I can't really was not able to hang around with friends because I was so busy with all the childcare stuff. So that did not really work that well. And workout, I felt like I was doing enough workout just running around, running behind kids. I did not feel that I need to really go work out. But the truth is, even though I think hanging around with kids is fun and it is indeed kind of like a workout, but still we need some time of the day where we can just wind down when we are not thinking. The magic is be able to stay still and not do anything. And when I say not do anything is like we're not thinking, we're not, dealing with a problem. We're just observing the world the way it is. So if you haven't done yoga practice, if you haven't done meditation, then you might want to look into it and see how you can learn how to ignore the world because world is happening whether I want it or not. It's not in my control. I'm not making even a dent. When we were little kids, people were like, how are you going to change the world? How are we going to change the world? We don't change the world. We only change ourselves. World changes by itself. So there's no reason for us to change the world. If I'm able to change myself, I think that's good enough. I don't need to teach anyone. Most of the stuff I do is for myself. I mean, this kind of makes me learn better, and maybe one day My kids can watch it and they can learn from everything that I have learned. And that's the only purpose of the video. Now, along the way, somebody watches the video and they become a client. That's just a cherry on the cake. It's beautiful. But please, if you are in any business, at least 15 to 30 minutes, learn to meditate, learn to stay still, learn to ignore things because things will be coming at you from all over the place. And if you get burned out, like in this case, her husband did, and eventually, because she had no support from family, and then she was getting all these complaints from customers, that led to her deciding to shut down and move on to do something else. Now, what I shared with you so far, do you see any real reason why she should be shutting down? I mean, it's not like she was losing the kids. Kids were still there. She was not losing the revenue. She was actually building good wealth under her name. If she would have just hang on to that business for another year, she would have realized that it makes no sense to shut it down. She would have been successful just like, her husband, and she'll be very proud of herself as well. And I think the biggest part of it too is, let's just say, even if you wanted to shut down that business, don't you think it would have been better off that she would have hired an employee and have her deal with all the parents and do all that? And if she would have done that, there was a very high likelihood she would not have shut down that business to begin with. But let's just say, even if she wanted to shut down, she might have transitioned it to her employee. She could have been, hey, look, let me take the back seat and you take the front seat. That could have happened, or she could have just sold the business because at the end of the day, her business was making her $100,000 a year. So if she's making $100,000 a year from her home, why can't she sell that? She could have sold. That's a lot of value to somebody. If nothing else, she could have gone to somebody and said, look, for first year, I'll give you all my clients for free. I'll take the first year revenue. You serve them. After that, they're your clients. She could have been coaching role. There were so many ways she could have structured this instead of just shutting it down. You know, After talking to her, I realized there was no real reason. It was all emotional reasons, and she missed out on so many opportunities. She had a young kid, she had a 5-year-old kid. She could have used that business to do great education planning. She could have built an enormous retirement account. Obviously, they didn't need the money because her husband was making like almost 500K. They didn't need the money, but she could have used that business to build enormous amount of wealth, no matter what. Um, she could have transitioned into like another property if she wanted to. Maybe not do it from home, but maybe built another property. That $100,000 could have paid for that mortgage and the mortgage for her home, if nothing else. And now that she'll be in a different property, bigger property where it's not like all congested with her personal belongings, maybe she would have delivered a better experience to her customers, and all these problems she heard earlier probably would have been disappeared on its own. So those were some of the things that I got from her. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think if you are already in a business and you're running it? What kind of problems you are running into, and what can we do to change that for you? So if you have a tax question, you want to learn about education planning, business planning, you want to learn about retirement planning, I'm your guy. Give us a call. Just go to taxcodeadvisors.com and reach out to me from there. If you're already running a successful business and you want to grow it, we are here to not just help you take advantage of all kind of tax strategies that are available to you, but be part of your business. We want to help you grow from that point of view. Maybe you're already working with a marketing company. Maybe you already have a business consultant. Maybe you already have a manager in place. We talk to them. So we are not involved only just with you, but we're involved with them. We hear what kind of things they are doing. And then we tell you, okay, here's something that you probably want to look at because you're missing that. And that can add a lot of value to your business. So please don't be a stranger. If I can be of any help or you're thinking about starting a new business, definitely give me a call. Once again, discovery call is free. Just go to taxcodeadvisors.com, set one up, and let's talk.